What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Create Above and Beyond, and today we are going to be duplicating some Slimy Ferns. So I went out and did some gathering in the hopes of starting on chapter 3 today, and as you guys saw, I was successful. I gathered the 3 different colors of Slimy Ferns that I'm holding right now. We have the green, the blue, and the purple, which puts us in a great spot to start chapter 3. And if we take a look at chapter 3, we've actually already finished the first quest. There's just no rewards for it, unfortunately. So we're able to start chapter 3, but we don't have anything fancy to get as a reward just yet. But before we actually start building, I quickly want to give you guys some advice because I know finding these slimy ferns is a huge issue for some people. So the easy way to find these is to pop open your map. And if we take a look over here, obviously I spawned on an island, but I did some traveling, and you can very easily find these on your map. If you look here, this one is the blue fern, and it's pretty easy to tell because there is some blue slime right around it. And then if we look again, right down here, it took a little bit of traveling, but we've got the purple right here. And again, over here, we have the green. So it's very easy to tell on your map where those would be. Just like finding a meteor or something on the map, it's very easy to see, so I would definitely use the map to your advantage when you are trying to find these. It made my life a lot easier, and you really only need one of each one, but if you mess something up, well, then it's definitely not a bad thing to have a couple extra laying around. But now that we have those, we're good to start building. So we're going to be doing all of the building for the duplicator setup over here today in this area I cleared out. Should be more than enough room because this setup isn't really that big, but it's only about a third of chapter 3, so it's definitely going to grow as we work our way through the rest of the chapter. But to start out, we're just going to build up 2 high into the air right here with some dirt and put down 3 depots in a row. Then we're going to grab out our deployers, and as you can see, my inventory is extremely full right now with a bunch of stuff from a bunch of different mods. And it'll all make sense in the end, but this is a pretty lengthy process to duplicate these, but it looks super cool. So we're going to put down deployers, and we want to make sure that they are oriented properly so that they will accept rotational power from each other, and not like that. So we'll put them down like that, then they're connected, and finally we just need to build off of here one, so we can put this one down right there. So now if we put rotational power in right here, it'll power all of these. Now the reason we're doing this is if we take a look at the uses for Slimy Ferns, there's really only one. Now you can do it with a deployer on a depot or a cutting board, but if we want to automate it, the deployer is the way to go. And by using a knife with the deployer, we are able to turn 1 slimy fern into 2 slimy fern leaves. And this is where the duplication process occurs, is right at this step right here. One of these will be recycled back into a slimy fern of that color, and the other one will go through the rest of the process to get us whatever different component will come from that. There's 3 different ones for the 3 different colors, but we'll talk about that a little bit later because that's a little bit further down the line. So now we're left with 2 slimy fern leaves on each one of these depots, and we need to split them. And there's a lot of different ways to split them, but the one that is most compact and efficient is not going to be using the thing I typically use, which would be tunnels, but it's going to be using 1 brass funnel on one side and 1 on the other. And we're going to have to grab out our wrench just so that we can turn these so that they are pulling items off of them, so the arrow is pointing out. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other 2 depots, so that they are having items dump off each of the 2 sides, so left and right. Now, the reason that this is going to work is because we're not just going to leave it like this, but we're going to adjust the settings here so that each one of these depots is for a very specific color of fern. So 3 depots for 3 ferns. So let's just say the first one on this side will be green. So we'll put a fern right there and then scroll it up so it's at a count of 1. And we're going to do the same thing over here, and that is extremely critical because what this will do is when we put a fern on here, and if I grab out, let's say 2, and I put these 2 on this depot, if I could get up there, you know what, let's just pillar up there because I want to show you guys how this works. Watch this. 1 out each side every time. Because they can only pull 1 out, they will each immediately try to pull 1 out, and because it will be 2 of the leaves each time, it's going to pull them out. So we need to cut these and then switch those to leaves, but that is a prime example of how that's going to work. So if I were to come over to our deployer over here, we do have 1 deployer set up, so I need to cut all of these down. I need to cut at least 1 of them down from each color. So we'll just grab out, I should have a bunch of knives in here. Yep, you definitely don't need diamond knives, but we're fancy. So if we were to drop 1 on there, it'll get cut. And we get our 2 leaves. We'll do the same with this one. And we got to make sure we have sufficient room for these. And then finally with this one. So we're completing the quest right now, but it's manually doing it. So not really the goal in the end. We'll grab these off, and then we need to get back our knife because I only have 3 of them. So let's get that back right there. Okay, so we got the knife back. Now we are good to set the actual filters for these. So we're going to keep the first one as green, but now that I was actually able to show you guys how it works, we keep it at 1 and leaf right there, leaf right there. Then the next one we're going to do, we'll do blue over here. And we'll do purple in the middle. Doesn't matter what order you do them in, but you need to make sure that each one is only for one color. And 1 right there. And then finally 1 right here. So now each one of these will be using specifically for one color fern. We're going to have to remember that later on. So the beginning of the process is done. We've got the deployers and depots set up to cut the slimy ferns into the 2 leaves. The 2 leaves will then be split, 1 to the left, 1 to the right. The right side is going to be the infinite duplication loop, and then the left side here is going to be the rest of the process where we take all the extra and convert it down into the blend and then into one of the 3 other components from that, and so on and so forth. And we won't get into that too much today, but we are going to start building off of this side to start and get our bearings straight. So we're going to come out 1 from these right at ground level, so down 2 and then over 1, and we're going to put down a deployer right like that facing up. Then we're going to put down another 2, just pretty much in line with these depots up here. And then we're going to put down hoppers going into each one of these right here. Then on top of those hoppers, we're going to put down millstones that'll then dump into those hoppers. And these brass funnels are going to dump into the millstones, which dump into the hoppers, which go into the deployers. And the idea here, if we take a look at the quest, is when you process down these slimy fern leaves, and we can complete this quest, again, no rewards, but when we process those down with the millstone, we're going to get a slimy fern blend. Then these will be processed in the we'll use the deployer to put them on a stove, basically, and cook them up. And 1 will make gunpowder, 1 will make ender dust, and 1 will make bone meal, which are all essential for the rest of chapter 3. So that's why we have this split into 3 different sections for each color, is I want to make sure that we are getting each color being continuously processed. I've seen some setups that use one thing that just processes any number of colors, and I get worried with that you're going to have certain colors that get processed more than others. And yes, if we take a look at chapter 3, when you have TNT, you're going to need more TNT, which means more gunpowder per craft than you will need ender dust, and same with bone meal. But if you run into a situation where you have one of these and it's only processing, let's say you have green that keeps coming in and you're not getting any purple or blue, then you end up with a ton of bone meal. That's not the one that you need more of. So I think it's safer to just have 3 running, 1 for each color at the exact same time. Got to make sure that's on 1, and then you should be good. So each one will dump into its own millstone, which goes into its own deployer. Then we are going to build up off of that and put down a stove. So the stove, if we come up here, can we put it down? I guess we need to come up 1 more because the deployer acts 2 blocks in front of it. And where did it go? Right over here. And then we're just going to put down another stove and another stove. Now, the reason we're doing this is because you need to cook down the blends on something hot, and you have a couple options, but really it's going to be campfires and stoves from Farmer's Delight. Stoves can hold 6 when campfires can, I believe, only hold 4. So we're going with stoves instead. And they also look nicer. And you cannot, unfortunately, input the blends into these stoves using something like a hopper. You need to actually right-click it on there. And so the only way to do it is to simulate right-clicking with a deployer. So we're dumping into a deployer, which is then bringing it back up here to the stove, which will then cook it. And then the next thing that gets a little bit weird with these is because of how it cooks it, when the item is done being cooked down into, let's say, bone meal, it actually pops off the top of these. So it will drop as an entity sitting on top of them. So the way we're going to work around that is using an encased fan. And I guess I don't have any more dirt on me really, so we're going to use netherrack because we need that for something else today. And we're just going to put that down up here and put down an encased fan, which we will rotate so that it's going to blow along all of these. And it will blow the items all the way down over to here. And then we need to put down some glass, but it's nighttime, so we should probably go sleep real quick. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to go through today. So there's going to be a lot of nights that we got to sleep through while we're building this. But now that we have the items being blown, we need to collect them. And so I'm going to use some glass, which should be in my backpack right here. We also can grab out the dirt again because we've cleared up a bit of our inventory. So we are going to have the items all end up right here. And then we're going to put down a storage drawer. Where is it? Do I have it on me or is it in my bag? It might be in my bag right now. Okay, a drawer controller. So we're going to put down a drawer controller, and you don't necessarily need to do it like this, but I think it's going to be really clean like this. A drawer controller right here. Then we're going to put down some storage drawers, some oak drawers, one right there, and one right there. And these will all be connected to the drawer controller, so any item that goes in here will be placed in the appropriate drawer that is connected to it. And we're going to get 3 different kinds of items, so 3 different drawers. And then finally, we're going to put down our andesite funnel because we want all items being picked up by this. They're going right in here. So once they get blown across these, down here, they will be picked up. So now it's time to put down our glass, and I didn't want for the dirt to get picked up. Okay, where'd it go? Went into the first one. Give me the dirt. There we go. Okay. So then we're going to put down our glass. So just like that and like that, just to contain the items up there. So if for some reason they're getting blown all over the place, they shouldn't be, but it makes me feel a little bit better knowing that there's glass contained where we're trying to just blow the items off of here. So now we have that side pretty much done. We need to give it rotational power. It's pretty easy because these need it. And then all the millstones connect over here. So it's just going to be supplying some rotational power over here to the encased fan and then to the deployers. And then to these deployers up here, which will eventually give, I guess we can give the knives to them right now to clear up even more space. So we'll just do knife in that one, knife in that one. And I guess I did not adjust either of those sides for the fern leaves for the green ones, and knife in that one. So there we go. So now this side is done. Once we get rotational power to it, now it comes to this side over here, the infinite duplication loop. And this one is going to involve some Demon's Dream fruit, which is from occultism. If you guys have never used this, if you eat it, it kind of makes you high and you can see stuff from occultism in a different realm. We're not doing that today. We are not getting high in Minecraft today. We're instead going to use this to make, I think it's called like Spirit Fire, because if we take a look at the recipe for Slimy Ferns, if you take a Slimy Fern leaf and throw it in Spirit Fire, it makes a Slimy Fern. So we're going to dump these out this side into Spirit Fire down here, and then pick them back up and send them back. So the first thing we need to do is we're actually going to work backwards, and we're going to discuss how we're going to send the items back. So we're going to come down to down here, and then we're going to put down netherrack on the 3rd level right here. And you do this all on netherrack because it is fire, but if you want it to burn infinitely, it'll do the same just like regular fire on netherrack. So you put down netherrack where you're going to have the fire. This is where the items drop. We're then going to come down over here to the same exact level, and we're going to put down a vacuumulator from Thermal Series. So this is going to pick up items all around it, and this is going to then pick up the Slimy Ferns when they're done. The only thing is, it's going to pick up anything right now, so we got to add in the item filter augment, go to item filter, and filter it to be only the 3 different colors of Slimy Ferns. So I've seen a lot of setups, and I guess we need to change this. Actually, it's on deny. It needs to be on allow. But I've seen a lot of setups that worry about leaving the ferns in the fire for a sufficient amount of time to transform and then grabbing them. Well, this makes your life a whole lot easier because A, the ferns are going to take a little bit to transform, not very long. But B, as you will see, they fly out everywhere. Like literally everywhere. I'm talking seriously, they could shoot like 10 blocks in a random direction. So you're going to try to keep them encased, but having this vacuumulator makes it way easier to not worry about them getting grabbed. This thing has a range of like 11 blocks, so it should get them no matter what. But either way, we're still going to try to contain them a bit down here when we end up lighting the fires, which is why we're going to do something a bit wonky. But now we're going to worry about doing the pretty pipes to pipe them back up here. So we're going to put pipes that go into the bottom of each one of these depots. And it's occurring to me right now that we need is it a pipe wrench? Yeah, so we have a pipe wrench here. So we need some red dye, some iron. I need to quickly make this. So we got some iron over here. You know, the funny thing is you really don't use that many resources when you're doing these quests. It's all like stuff that you make in your self-contained systems. I haven't had to go mining in forever. I don't know if I have any. Oh, I do have red dye in here. Nice. Okay. Oh, I have it from back in the day when I was trying to mill stuff down to get green dye, I think, to make the slime balls. So we'll do this, and then we should have an extra one of these. Okay, so we need a pipe wrench here, and this is going to be used to disconnect these pipes from adjacent blocks. So we don't want them connecting over here. We only want them to connect into the depots. But for each of these, then we need to put in a filter module on it. So this is the low filter module. You have higher tiers, but we do not have the stuff needed to get those. But we're going to filter each one of these to only allow in it the specific color of that depot. So this one is going to be the green slimy ferns. And this is on, we need to make it allow. It defaults to disallow, which is kind of weird. Where is it? Filter module, the purple one, allow, and then finally another filter module and blue one and allow. So there we go. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I had a little bit of a sneeze right there. You might see that in the bloopers. It was a pretty aggressive one, but had to take a second right there to compose myself. Either way, though, we got all this stuff filtered in these pretty pipes right here. They're called pretty pipes, and they actually match with the brass funnels because they're made of brass pretty well. But it makes me kind of annoyed that these don't have facades to use for them. And so we're going to bring these down here, but it's going to bring me to my next comment on these as we get rid of this dirt right here so we can come down here. Because we need to set one last thing on this pipe right here. So let me just get a freehand so that we can access this. So we need a low extraction module. Now, any extraction module works fine, but the low one, again, the only one that we have. Now, it doesn't matter to filter this because everything in here we need to pull out. So that will pull the items out. Without that, these pipes just like don't work. You either need a extraction module on one end or there's another module you can put to pull items to that inventory, but we now have to all these configured. And so if we were to start the fires over there, we'd be good to go. Now, the one thing I want to do right now is put down glass all around this. And that might sound a little bit weird, but the reason that this whole setup is being done the way it is essentially because of what I said. And I'm trying to think right now about making this ground look okay, because it's a bunch of dirt down here. It might look better. You know what? I'm going to make this whole thing out of netherrack down here. That's what I'm going to do. And then we'll put glass on top of that. That might look a little bit cooler. But this whole setup that we're doing down here is solely going to be because of the items flying everywhere once we start these fires. So we have some glass right here. We're going to encase this entire area in glass. And I should have enough here. And right like that. So the reason that this right here is over here instead of being right here, when you're like, oh, you could save one pipe, why don't you do that? Well, it's because if you have any block that is not entirely taking up a full block, you got any room here, there will be slimy ferns that find a way to shoot themselves through that and get messed up and not get picked up and all these different issues. And I do not want that. They are so buggy when they shoot out all over the place. And you'll notice this in your world that you want to make sure they are perfectly contained, because if you're using this setup, we're only going to be looping one slimy fern at a time. And if you lose one, your entire setup will stop working for that color. And if you don't have any extras saved, which is why in the quest book, they tell you to save some extras somewhere in here. They tell you to save some extras probably right here. Keep a backup of each fern. That's because this is so likely to happen if you do not take steps to prevent it. So in this case, it's weird because we're taking steps to prevent it, but we're going to start the fires down there. And then we're going to take one last step to prevent this from happening. So we are going to put down a demon dream fruit right before we light the fire, and that will make spirit fire. So you drop it, light the fire, and this fire will not hurt you, so don't worry about that. It won't start other fires either, which is really cool. But we're going to start these. This is where the items get dropped, and then we're going to put more glass down right here. And then finally, and this one's going to seem really weird, where is it? We are going to put down smart chutes right here. Actually, no, one higher. We're going to put them down right here. And then we are going to have to use the pipe wrench again, just like this. So let's do that, just like that. And then we can put some more glass around these, I guess, if we want. So I'm going to need more glass in general, it's looking like. So I gotta go get me some sand so I can finish off with this, because I am out of glass. I want to bring it all the way up here. So I'm going to go sleep. I'm going to get some more glass done, and then we'll come back and finish this off. Okay, so I went and did a bunch of stuff off camera to put us in a good spot to finish this setup. So I got all the glass that we need. I got some extra too because we had to set up the rotational power for this, and that stuff's usually really boring to do on camera. So just a vertical gearbox up here coming down to a cogwheel. I didn't end up fully connecting these because I was testing out the direction of rotation, and as we can see, it is now overstressed because of this the speed it's running at. Whoopsie. Okay, so it looks like we are going to need another water wheel over here. Wasn't sure if we need another one, but I do have an extra one on hand. I just need a bit more water and soul sand. Okay, take 2 on that. Now we have the rotational power supplied to everything, and it's not overstressed, so I think we should be good on that. It took 3 water wheels. Wait, I'm missing the water over here. Which one of these is missing the water? Is this one missing the water to be a bubble column? It is. It looks like it is. Okay, well, we're not cutting again for that. We're not going for a take 3. We're just going to grab some more water over here and we'll fix that. But either way, it's good to go. This is simply going to give us even more stress capacity to work with. There we go. Okay, so now it's good to go. We have the extra glass needed to finish this section off right here. So just to make sure no items get dumped out weird, we're going to cover the rest of this with glass right here. So that should be good. And I don't know if I explained this yet, but the reason that we are using the smart chutes and not regular chutes is if we take a look at these, they cover an entire block. So now if an item were to fall down into that area, there is no way for it to escape. It is completely contained. If we were to have these pipes there or regular chutes or just these funnels, I have literally had them shoot up over 6 blocks and come out the top, and then it stops working. So this one is tried and true. It works perfectly. You will never lose them. I ran this for hours and hours of it just consistently going without losing a fern. So I am safe to say that this one will work indefinitely, but that is why we have those there. No filters, no nothing, just to act as something the items can pass through that then get dumped out, but they cannot come back up through when they get chucked out here. So yeah, I think this setup is actually good to go. If we were to put, and I guess we can try this, if we were to dump out a slimy fern of each color, they should get picked up by the vacuumulator, put into the setup, and it should start running. So it's becoming nighttime now, unfortunately, but we can still give this a go. So purple, green, blue, are those in range? They should be. They get pulled up. They should each go to their corresponding one. Come on. They should each then get cut. Yes. Yes, they drop out. They convert. Yes, you can see. They get picked up again. Nice. We have ones coming over here. Can we go up here and see if they're getting cooked down? Where's the blend? The blend should be making, yes, there's the blend right there. Very nice. I don't want to get in the way and accidentally pick up some of the stuff from that. The blends are there. Multiple are ending up, and there it is. They get cooked down, and then they go in the storage drawers. Yes, so we have the ender dust, the bone meal, and the gunpowder. It's all working. Oh my gosh, that feels so good. Now, it's admittedly a bit loud because of the transformation noise, but it is so good, guys. Oh my gosh, okay. And then we have them being stored right over here. So we should get even amounts of all of these. This should work indefinitely. That is the setup for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on a future one as they come out every Monday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I guess later on I can go through and complete all these quests because, yeah, we got to grab some of these out, but we are good to go. Be sure to drop a like on the video too for the extremely compact setup, and I will talk to you guys later. If I could get these properly oriented. No, oh my gosh. Okay, I should have placed them down differently. Okay, there we go. You know what? Let's just get these back and let's place them off of this and then rotate them. Oh my gosh, these are horrible.